Welcome to the Advertising Forum. This is episode 2 of our SMB series, sponsored by Vibe.
Today we have Aulden Kaye Yi, the head of advertising partnerships at Philo, with us today to spotlight a publisher's point of view. Aulden, thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Aulden, in our first episode, we spoke with a marketer who was using the platform. Lots of raving reviews. I would love to hear about how you in particular teamed up with Vibe and why you think they're such a great partner for small businesses looking to advertise.
Yeah, for sure. So we first started working with Vibe, I want to say at the end of 2023. I was just about to go on mat leave actually with my second. But there was a meeting around Ad Week. And I remember just being, so impressed with the team and their vision for sort of like opening up CTV to the small and mid-sized business marketplace. And I think there's such a strong partner for SMBs for really two reasons, and they both have to do with accessibility. The first reason is that it's just super easy to get started. There are no barriers to entry. There are no minimums. You literally go to the website and you create an account and you can start a campaign. The second reason is that I think the team has approached it in a really smart way in that they're making buying on CTV feel like buying on social. And social obviously has captured, a huge outsized share of the SMB market. And so I think if you can, find a way to enable buying in CTV, which is admittedly, complicated, fragmented landscape, and make that feel like buying on Meta, then that's a huge win for small and mid-sized businesses who are able to get their ads easily into this most engaging, most premium, big screen environment, and for CTV publishers who are looking to win a greater share of the SMB market.
From your perspective, how do you see these smaller businesses differ in their advertising capabilities and what sets them apart from the bigger brands that we normally see on connected television? And how has, Vibe in particular, you as a publisher seen that as a benefit?
Yeah. I mean, I think so taking a step back and just thinking about when we're talking about SMBs, what does that even mean? I went to the U.S. Small Business Administration to look up, to put some metrics around it. 99.9% of the businesses in the U.S. are small businesses. And they make up about nearly 50% of the U.S. private sector workforce. So those numbers are huge. They are such a sort of core, massive part of the U.S. economy. And they make up this really rich quilt of, a lot of them are localized businesses and services. And so I think just being able to service those businesses in the right way and thinking about what their requirements are. I think that when you look at large and small advertisers now, everyone's trying to have a more nuanced, a more specific conversation with their audience. I think that for SMBs, that's table stakes. You have to be able to drill into those relevant audiences and geos that, are really going to make their marketing dollars work. And, I think that all of the big media companies are aware of this and are sort of making this huge push into the market. But I think another thing that SMBs sort of bring is diversity, obviously, of advertisers. And so even from a user experience perspective, when you're watching, streaming TV and you're seeing the same ads or a few advertisers over and over again, that's not a great experience. There's something really powerful about allowing a much more diverse pool of businesses to tap into that environment and creating, a better and more relevant viewing experience for the people who are watching on our platforms.
As a publisher in the space and as a really a streaming first publisher in the space, how can these SMBs better navigate the buying and planning process for those ad placements on your channel?
Yeah. I mean, I would say with planning and buying, I don't think about CTV so differently from other digital media and that it's really about understanding the goal of your campaign and understanding the audience that you're trying to speak to, then, building the campaign around that targeting and the way that you're going to be able to measure those outcomes that you're looking for. And what I would say is coming back to this concept of SMBs and social is I would hope that SMBs can sort of like step outside of their comfort zone here because, social has made it super easy to buy specific audiences and to measure performance. But, your ads are in environments where you're next to like unchecked user generated content and like the platforms are grading their own homework. And, CTV and other media provide this opportunity to, reach those relevant audiences and measure performance, but also work with like third-party vendors who can validate that performance for you. And so I think, it's about working with partners like Vibe who are, breaking down those barriers to buying in this environment and making it work more, making it easier for SMBs to jump in.
That's a perfect pivot into the next question. So how does Philo work with SMBs to ensure that the SMB spots are compelling and actually fit into your just actual platform's audience? Because of what Philo's doing, we'd love to hear your 2 cents on this.
Yeah. So we are not doing a ton of like custom creative stuff with advertisers at this point, but I'm sure you don't have anyone on the podcast now who is not talking about AI, but here we go. I do think that AI, that this is a place where AI can really help advertisers, create that sort of quality creative and play around with messaging, much more affordably and like at much higher velocity and sort of test and learn on different publishers and different platforms. Is this a message that works and sort of, optimize that way? And I think that like a lot of the buying platforms that are targeted to SMBs are really thinking about and building out that sort of suite of products, if that makes sense.
So what metrics should SMBs be tracking?
Yeah. So, it comes back again to like every advertiser is different, right? And every advertiser is trying to drive different things. So like Sal's Pizza is trying to get people to come in to the store or go online or give them a call and order a pie. Like gaming companies, e-com companies, they're all trying to, drive different actions or sales, and they need to be looking at different metrics to measure, their success. So I think sort of back to the planning and buying question, like it all comes down to what is the goal, build your campaign around that, and then figure out what are the metrics and who are the vendors that I can work with who are going to help me track those KPIs that are important to me. And whether that's like, customer acquisition cost or return on ad spend in a given window or foot traffic or brand affinity, so it's definitely not a one size fits all.
So you helped us understand the best practices. What are some pitfalls that SMB should avoid?
So I would say this not just to SMBs, but large advertisers
Everybody,
as well.
anybody.
I think you just like have to know what you're buying. There's like so much high quality premium inventory out there, premium CTV, more now than ever. But I think there's also bad actors and there's fraudulent inventory and like supply paths that aren't ideal. And I think that you really have to make transparency a requirement. And if you, as a small business owner are not going to be going out and setting up direct deals with publishers one-to-one, like that's fine. But work with, a partner that you trust, that is reputable, that is going out and setting up those deals or those connection points with publishers, and then request reporting that is granular and shows the supply path. Like I don't think it's super hard to get that peace of mind, but I think it's super important.
Amazing. Aulden, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to Vibe for sponsoring the SMB series. We're really looking forward to release this episode. Thanks again for being here, Aulden.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Aulden.